We're going to stop you for a second so we can get into an interview that's occurring right now with Pete Pieringer. He's giving us an update on the Gaithersburg situation.
These people were trapped in the house, a very large tree, a lot of debris. The roof essentially came down, the walls came down in the single-family house. They were trapped under all that. Firefighters did pull them out. So the traumatic injuries are not necessarily life-threatening in this case, but they are serious compared to the other injuries. So again, 5 people were in this house. One of the injuries was traumatic. The other, everybody, all 5 are being transported to the hospital.
The one traumatic patient?
Yes, all 5 were. Yep. Yeah, I think there are some isolated areas. The street lights are on this particular street, but there are widespread areas of power outage, wires down, and a lot of debris in the roadway. So we're asking anybody to treat any down wires as if they're live, stay away from them. And same thing with debris. There's a lot of debris, particularly in this area.
Yep. Windows 9415, correctly, 1915, correctly, assisting MT44 evaluation, select email,
Yes, they're all in the same general area, Rolling Drive and Holly Drive, and we're here on Dogwood. So if I could be so kind to cut out on you and get to these other folks here, but we'll have a further update later.
So you're listening to Pete Pieringer there. It looks like he's doing an interview with another outlet, answering some of those questions that are being lodged at him in his earpiece there. But he's right there along the 400 block of Dogwood Drive. He's answering our questions right now. Let's listen in.
Live with, on NBC4, but at this point we have had what we believe a tornado has struck in this area of Deer Park. We're in Gaithersburg, just off of Summit Avenue near North Frederick Avenue. This all started, the storms rolled through probably the Poolsville area a little before 7 o'clock. There were a number of watches and warnings. We believe there were multiple tornadoes, Poolsville, Germantown, and Gaithersburg, and Albany, and we have had damage. In this particular neighborhood, not far from here, we're at Dogwood and Tulip. We've had 3 structures, one on Dogwood, one on Rolling Drive, and the other on Holly Drive. All 3 were trees struck a house. People were trapped. This one was the most significant as far as people trapped. We had 5 people in the home here on Dogwood. They were all removed by firefighters, rescued by firefighters, and all 5 people have been transported to the hospital. One of them has traumatic injury. Again, this area has numerous wires down, debris in the roadway. We're still assessing the situation. And again, that's the latest here from Gaithersburg.
Do you have any other info on other regions in the county that were affected? Poolsville?
Yeah. So initially, the warning was first warning was for Northwest Montgomery County and Poolsville area, which we did have some pictures, in fact, of funnel clouds. I talked to some people during the storm, and they were hunkered down, and they did have some damage. None as significant as here. That continued. The storm apparently moved down towards the Soccerplex, Germantown area, continued to move towards Gaithersburg, a more populated area, and we have 3 homes in this neighborhood that have had significant damage. Again, people were trapped in all these houses. All this time, again, this is going into the 7:30, 7:45, and I believe the warning was extended to 8:15. All this time, there were also calls for lightning strikes, numerous car wrecks, wires down. Our communication center handled hundreds of calls in a relatively short period of time. But again, the most significant damage, as far as I know, that I've seen, is right here on Dogwood Street in Gaithersburg area.
Pete, let me ask you about the incident here. Is it the house behind you? Was it a tree down? Did the roof collapse? Did the structure collapse? What can you tell us about the particular incident?
Yeah, so if you look behind me there, that's the actual root structure there. Very large tree. Went through the center of the house, trapped some people. It looks like it was a bedroom. Of course, you can't tell the type of room it is now. They were trapped under there. A lot of debris. Our technical rescue team did come in here and were able to get them out along with the first responders from Gaithersburg. All of them had injuries. One had traumatic injury. But again, a very large tree crushed this house in this particular area. The other two homes nearby on Rolling Drive and Holly Drive, same fate, not as dramatic. We did rescue and remove some people from those homes as well, but I don't think that they were any serious injuries in those two instances. Otherwise, damage assessments are still being done, but I believe there's some in Olney area, up in the Poolsville, Germantown area, maybe some damage, but I'm not aware of any structure damages. You can go a couple blocks from here on North Frederick Avenue, in fact, see wires down and trees and debris along West Deer Park Road, also, which is across Frederick Avenue.
Can you as far as a traumatic injury, can you elaborate on the injury? That person was pinned down. Can you also say, was it the tree that pinned that person down, or a part of the house? What can you elaborate on that?
No, I can't really. I don't know. But the tree crushed the house, so the tree and the house were on top of these people.
Can you say anything about the extraction operation? Was there anything in particular you could tell us about that? About how the team got them out, how long it might have taken, what the assets, what it required?
So we had real good information from the get-go that people were trapped, the number of people, where they were trapped. So the first responders from the Gaithersburg station were able to get here very quickly. They were able to make some additional assessment, check the people, verified where they were. We did have assets from our technical rescue, which basically comes from Quince Orchard or Darnestown. So they have a rapid response to this area as well. They have a high level of expertise. They have lots of equipment, and they were able to get the people out relatively soon, maybe about 20 minutes. And again, we had the ambulance bus, I believe, is transporting them all to a local trauma center, or at least one of them is going to a trauma center. Others are probably going to a local hospital. So, it went fairly smoothly, but we have the resources and we're able to accomplish that fairly quickly.
How many people were trapped?
5 people were in the house. They were all trapped.
Can you say anything
in this particular house? The other 2 homes also had people trapped, not to this degree, but we assisted people out of the other 2 houses as well.
And their ages?
I don't have all that yet.
Okay. And did you say everyone was injured, or one person was pinned down? How many were rushed to the hospital?
All 5 were taken to the hospital. One had traumatic injuries, the other not so bad.
And could you say, it might be, forgive me if I missed this, but was this a tornado definitely touched down here, or was it heavy winds, or what do we know about what weather specifically caused this?
Yeah, I'm not a meteorologist, but we have to wait for them to assess it to determine that for sure. But we do have pictures of funnel clouds. The damage is indicative of what would be a tornado. And again, this is not the only spot where we have damage like this. I personally have a number of pictures of funnel clouds. So I don't know if it was the same storm or multiple funnel clouds, but again, we have pretty good reason to believe it was a tornado that hit this area.
You saw some of these?
No, I got pictures.
Oh, pictures, okay.
And you've been with fire and rescue for years. Just what's going through your head seeing the damage out here?
Well, it's always, it has a huge impact on the community. Certainly, we're glad that everybody got out and is being taken care of. That's our main concern, everybody's safety. Now, I think there's a lot of danger as far as it's getting dark. There's lots of wires down, a lot of debris. It's a pretty dangerous situation for everyone, so we're asking people to stay away from this area. But if you see a wire down, just treat it as it's live. I think that the people during the warnings were well timed, and good information came out. Multiple platforms where people were alerted. I talked to a few people in the Poolsville area. They were hunkered down in the basement, so people, did their due diligence and sheltered out. So these people really had nowhere to go on the first floor of this house. But again, I think People heeded the warnings, and it proved that to be the case.
So they were on the first floor.
Yeah,
Two-story house? One story, do you know?
I think it's one story.
One story, yeah.
I think,
Anything else you'd like to say or think
No,
our
well-
viewers need to know? We're actually live on Fox 5 right now.
All right, good. No, just the fact that right now, going forward, it's very dangerous. I think because of the wires down and other debris. This neighborhood was particularly hard hit. We're still getting information in from other areas, Olney, Poolsville, Germantown in particular, even across Route 355, West Deer Park area. Had some damage that police officers were telling me about. So, but this area seems to be Deer Park neighborhood.